It is overtime here again at Old Favorite Friday, discussing incredible classic beers. And every now and then I'll run into a beer that I am absolutely sure that we have done before on Old Favorite Friday, because we've been doing these beers, these videos, I should say, for over 3 years. But it turns out we have not. And I got a recommendation just recently. A lot of people will send in their favorite beers that they think we should cover on Old Favorite Friday. And they said, you got to do Chimay White. And I said, well, we've definitely done that before. I looked back through my notes. No, we have never done Chimay White. We've only actually done one Chimay beer previously, and that was their double, which is actually my favorite of those Trappist styles. But regardless, I can't believe we haven't done this beer before. It just proves that after over 3 years of these, there's still tons of beers that we've yet to explore and discuss here on Old Favorite Friday. So let's get into it. Chimay is a staple beer of the Trappist beer style, of course, but of kind of craft beer in the United States, at least from my exposure to it. When I lived in Florida in the early 2000s, it was a craft beer wasteland. There was nothing available down here in the way of craft beer. You could get the Chimay red, white, and blue. They were available. They were so many people's gateway beer into craft beer, and why so many people fell in love with Belgian ales. So it just stands to reason that it would be one of those benchmark beers, one of those beers that people have such fond memories over. And I mean, for good reason. I have been drinking this beer for many, many years. It's still as good as it's ever been. It's important to talk about the Trappist styles, right? Traditionally made by the Trappist monks in Belgium. We refer to these beers. I don't know if it's because we're Americans and we're lazy, but we go with the red for the double, the white for the triple, and the blue for the quadruple. But they actually do have names. The Chimay Red is Premier. The Grand Reserve is the blue, and this is called Cinq Cents, which is for the Chimay White or the triple. This beer is a 8% beer. It is, I would say, a little more phenolic and spicy than you're going to get to the more fruity side of the triple style. And a lot of different breweries, when they make their triple, they have to kind of decide. They go with the more phenolic-y strain that gives you that. What happens here was like coriander, chamomile tea, more spicy, zesty flavors in this, floral flavors in this, as opposed to going more of the estery route, where you're going to get a lot more of that banana, some bubble gum, the real fruit forward flavors. And a good triple, in my opinion, has both of those. And I like when one kind of picks a side and goes towards one of those kind of flavor profiles, as long as they're well balanced and well rounded. And this one does have the subtle hints of banana, maybe a little green apple, white grape. It has those flavors there, but they're balanced out by those more phenolic flavors and more spicy flavors, which in general is what I like. It also kind of mutes some of the perception of sweetness. There's a little bit of like sweet honey malt in here that I'm tasting, but in no way does it come off as cloying, because you've got those phenolic and spicy flavors. You also have a little bit higher of a bitterness aspect. So there's a little more hops to this beer, the 60-minute hops, the bittering hops, that balance out some of those sweeter flavors and those perceptions of sweeter flavors. And that's one of the things about a triple, is that traditionally they are the hoppiest of the Belgian Trappist ales. I was on the Chimay website and I was looking at the little flavor wheel they have, and they had the spike towards the bitterness aspect. And for a lot of American beer drinkers, we think of bitterness as like old school West Coast IPAs, and this beer would not even bitterness would not even come into the conversation, I don't think, for many people when it comes to this beer. But there is a nice, subtle, balancing bitterness. It's a soft bitterness. It's well integrated. It's not, it doesn't have any off-putting astringent flavors at all. So it just kind of balances it out and kind of completes that package of having the malt, having the yeast characteristic, and having a nice floral hop profile, old school, traditional hop profile that adds a little bit of the right amount of bitterness to complete the whole package. Yeah, it's just fantastic. And because it has that complexity and that well-roundedness, it makes it incredible for sipping, right? At an 8% beer, the alcohol is not really prevalent at all in this beer. Also makes it incredibly food friendly, which is great. One other thing, I was poking around on the Chimay website, just doing a little research. I didn't realize this beer was only created back in 1966, was the first time this beer was produced. Just because this brewery itself traces its lineage back to like the 1800s, I would have thought that this beer was much older than that. But it turns out it's not. It's a beer from 1966. I mean, by the way, the craft beer in the United States in 1966, we had nothing going on like this. So there's much respect for making this beer then, but I would have thought it was a little bit older than that. Talking about what we're doing for the food pairings, I talked about how I think this is a beer that would pair so well with food. And I think you can do a lot of different things here. One of the things that jumps out at me, I just went with my wife to a cooking class where you cook the food at sur la table, and then you enjoy it after you cook it. And we did seared scallops in like a citrus beurre blanc. That would be perfect for this. The fattiness, the richness of the scallops, the citrus would pair really well with the fruit flavors here. And it would just be a lovely combination. That high carbonation, because it's bottle conditioned, really cuts through those fats and that richness of the sauce. That's just like a match made in heaven. That would go so well together. One other thing that I always pair with triples, and for those of you who watch Old Favorite Friday on a regular basis, triples go really well with like Thai curries. Spicy dishes like that, it pairs so well together. The phenols, like that coriander and clove, those spices pair so well with the spices that go into Thai curry and that kind of cuisine. It's going to complement that really well, while having that 8% beer and the richness and the carbonation to pair up with those really heavy, just delicious sauces. So those are just two things you could do with this beer, but there's so many other cheeses. There's so many other things you could do that's so versatile. Quite honestly, if I was doing beer in food pairings in general, and I wanted to expose people to as many different things, I'd always have triple handy, because it is really one of the most, it's a Swiss Army knife when it comes to trying to find good beers that pair with like very many different kinds of cuisines. And listen, Chimay, I have to apologize that it's been over 3 years. I'm finally getting to their triple and have not even gotten to the quadruple yet. So you're definitely going to see that here in the future now that I have it on my radar. Thank you guys very much for making great recommendations and continuing to check in with the channel and let us know what you guys are drinking. And this one's absolutely fantastic. If you haven't picked up Chimay White, it's so readily available, and it might be the perfect beer for Old Favorite Friday because it's underappreciated for how available it is. Pick it up this weekend. Please go over you're on our YouTube channel. Please like and subscribe. See some of the other videos that we have done for Old Favorite Friday over the last 3 years if you like this one, and we'll see you next time. Cheers.